Lagos heat hits different when you got nothing but a torn t-shirt and one flip-flop. That day, it wasn't the sun that burned. It was the stares, the whispers, the lies. They dragged me through the dirt like I wasn't human. All I'd done was offer some roasted plantains to a crying toddler at the edge of Oshodi Market. Next thing I knew, the boy's mother was on the ground, screaming about demons. Someone shouted, "Witch!" And that was it. Area boys gathered fast. One grabbed my hair, another kicked my ribs. They didn't ask questions, didn't care that I was only 15, didn't see the bruises I already had. Or maybe they did, and liked it. I tried to scream, but dirt filled my mouth. My face scraped against the concrete. I heard the snap of my own flip-flop as they dragged me across the broken ground. They said I cursed the child. They said I poisoned him. They said I didn't deserve to breathe. They dumped me behind the market like a sack of rotten food, flies buzzing, my own blood in my nose. And the worst part? No one helped. Not even the woman selling oranges who used to sneak me peels when I passed by. She just turned away. I lay there for hours, until the sun began to set and the street started to shift from chaos to shadows. That's when I saw him, Eby, dirty cap, one eye swollen shut, carrying a stolen radio like it was a trophy. He crouched beside me and offered me bread. "Lagos ain't safe for you no more, Ayo," he said. "They really think you got the devil in you." Funny thing is, that was the nicest thing I'd heard all day. We used to share a bunk in that sorry excuse of a shelter in Abeokuta before they shut it down. I hadn't seen Eby in months. He hadn't changed, still rough, still fast-talking, but his eyes held something different now, a kind of warning. "I can't stay," I whispered. "They'll kill me next time." He nodded. "There's a bus to Lagos. Don't ask how I got the ticket. Just go." So I did. That night, I climbed onto a rusted yellow bus packed with strangers, praying the engine wouldn't give out before it crossed Ogun State. The road was bumpy, the air sticky, and every time we passed another checkpoint, I held my breath. By dawn, I was in a different world. Lagos, bigger, louder, meaner. I stepped off the bus at Djibouti Terminal and straight into a mess. Street kids swarmed like bees. A man tried to snatch my bag. Not that I had anything. I elbowed him, hard. Got a slap in return. The city didn't welcome me, but it didn't kick me out either. I wandered until I found a wall to lean against near a small hospital in Yaba. My stomach screamed. My feet blistered. I hadn't eaten since that bread Eby gave me. That's when the security guard saw me. Big man. Name tag said, Femi. "You can't sleep here," he barked. "I'm not sleeping," I muttered. He looked me over, from my cracked lips to my swollen ankle. "Where your people?" "Dead." He said nothing for a while, just looked. Then he sighed. "Come, you clean?" That's how I ended up inside the hospital, mop in hand, sweat running down my back. Femi got me a spot on the cleaning crew, night shift. No pay, but a roof and leftover jollof if the nurses were kind. I kept my head down. I scrubbed floors, changed bins, avoided eye contact. But one night, while mopping near the private ward, I saw her. Little girl, no more than 10, lying still, IV in her arm, eyes shut tight, her skin pale, too pale for someone so brown. Her father stood at the window, talking to a nurse in low, angry tones. I didn't know who he was then, but the gold chain, the bodyguards, the way everyone moved aside, I should have guessed. I shouldn't have gotten closer, but something pulled me in. I looked at the girl's face. I don't know what made me do it. I just reached out and gently touched her hand. Her eyes fluttered. Behind me, someone gasped. I turned and saw her mother standing there. And the fear in her eyes, it wasn't for her daughter. It was for me. For a split second, no one moved. Then the mother screamed, loud, the kind that slices through walls and rattles inside your bones. "Security! Get this girl away from my daughter!" Nurses came running, the father turned, and I'll never forget that look on his face. Not anger, not fear. Disgust. 2 guards grabbed me, one by the arm, the other by the neck. I didn't fight. What was the point? I was already guilty of breathing the same air as their precious child. As they dragged me outside, the girl whispered something. I couldn't hear it, but her lips moved. I swear she said, "Thank you." Didn't matter. The hospital tossed me out like garbage. Femi wasn't on duty. Nobody spoke up. Nobody even asked my name. I landed on the pavement hard. My elbow scraped open. My knees stung. The world blurred for a second. Then I sat up. The guards were still watching. "You show up here again," one said. "You disappear." Then they turned and walked back inside. I didn't cry, not then. I just sat there, letting the dust stick to my skin. That's when someone handed me a sachet of water. A woman, maybe mid-30s, clean dress, simple scarf, tired eyes. She didn't speak, just gave me the water and sat down beside me. We didn't say anything for a while. Then she asked, "What did you do to her?" "Nothing," I said. "I just held her hand." She nodded like she'd heard worse. "My sister's daughter died last year. Hospital wouldn't treat her without deposit. She was 6. I looked at her. She wasn't crying, but her voice had that edge, like a rope pulled too tight. "They said you were a witch. That true?" "No." "Good." She stood up. "You stay around here, you'll be in the ground by Friday. Come." Her name was Sister Ngozi. She wasn't a nun, just what people called her in the slum behind the mechanic yard near Sabo. She ran a shack where women prayed, cooked, and sometimes hid from men who hit too hard. I slept on a mat near the corner. My ribs ached, my head buzzed. But I had a roof. Next morning, Ngozi let me help cook. We served yam porridge to 4 hungry kids and one very quiet man with a bandaged hand. No one asked who I was. I didn't ask who they were. Later that day, while sweeping the dirt floor, I heard a voice outside. "I'm looking for a girl. Name might be Aomide." I froze. No one in Lagos knew my name. Ngozi stepped outside. I peeked through the curtain. It was the young doctor, the one from the hospital. I remembered his gentle face, the only one that hadn't twisted in judgment that night. Ngozi didn't trust him at first, but he said, "I'm not here to hurt her. I just want to talk." So I came out. He looked tired, like someone who hadn't slept. "Your name really Aomide?" I nodded. "My name's Dr. Aneki. That girl you touched, Terry, she's stabilizing. Her fever dropped an hour after you left." I didn't know what to say. Then he asked the one thing I feared most. "What did you do to her?" "I didn't do anything," I whispered. "I just felt like she needed someone to hold her." He studied my face. "You've been through a lot." He was right, but I wasn't about to pour my heart out. "You should leave," I said. "People don't like when I'm around." He didn't move. "People are stupid." Then he handed me a brown envelope. "There's an address in here. If you ever need real help, come there. Ask for me." He left. Ngozi looked at me sideways. "You trust him?" "No." "But you might need him," she said. She wasn't wrong. That night, I sat on the mat, holding the envelope like it was made of fire. Inside was a paper with a hospital logo and a handwritten note. "Clinic shift openings. Night. Aomide, ask for Femi." Femi, he hadn't forgotten. But opening that door again, risking another mob? I didn't sleep much. And when I did, I dreamed of Tari, eyes wide, lips moving, that same whisper. "Thank you." It wouldn't let me go. I waited 3 days before opening that envelope again. Lagos moved around me like it didn't care if I lived or vanished. The women at Ngozi's place had their own wounds. Some you could see, some you just felt in the way they flinched when someone knocked too loud. We cooked, cleaned, and stayed quiet, but the envelope burned a hole in my thoughts. On the 4th night, I left without a word. The address led me across town, past Oshodi, to a private clinic hidden behind a metal gate near Ilupeju. The sign was small, the guards big. One of them squinted. "What you want?" "As Femi sent me, for night work." He rolled his eyes, but called inside. 5 minutes later, Femi walked out. Same grumpy face, same heavy boots. He looked me over, arms crossed. "You came." "I need the work." "Then don't cause trouble." That's how I got back in. Official this time. Cleaning staff, night shift. No one welcomed me, but no one spat either. Progress. I kept my head down. The nurses mostly ignored me. A few whispered. I caught the word witch once, maybe twice. But I didn't react. I was done defending myself. Funny thing is, I started recognizing patterns. Which patients got better, which didn't. And something wasn't right. Tari was still there. Her room was always closed off, always guarded. I never saw her awake. One night, as I emptied the trash, I passed by the private ward and heard voices. "I said no more of that drug," Dr. Anake snapped. "She's stable, isn't she?" another voice said. Male, older, calm, but cold. "She's sedated. That's not the same." I stepped back into the shadows. The door was cracked open. "Look, Aneka," the man continued, "you're paid to treat, not question. Stick to that." Then silence. Door shut, lights off. I hurried back to the janitor closet, heart racing. My hands shook. What were they giving her? 2 days later, Annika found me again, this time in the supply room. "You were outside the ward," he said, not a question. I didn't lie. I heard him, the other man. He looked around, then lowered his voice. "That was her uncle, the one managing the foundation's funds." So he's the one approving her treatments, and I think he's keeping her sick." I swallowed. Why? For control, sympathy, money, I don't know yet. I stared at the mop in my hands. "What do you want from me?" He hesitated. "You calmed her. That wasn't nothing. I need to know what you felt. Exactly." "I don't know," I whispered. It was like her body was screaming but nobody could hear it. And when I touched her, it stopped. He watched me like he was trying to decide if I was crazy. Then he nodded. "That's something." He gave me a note. "This is a lab tech, friend of mine. Take it to him. Tell him you're with me." I tucked the paper into my waistband. And what do I get? He smiled, tired. "A chance to save that girl. Maybe yourself too." That night, I left work early, found the lab, passed the note. The tech, Kalechi, looked like someone who hadn't seen daylight in weeks. He scanned the note, then pulled out a vial from the fridge. "Tell Annika this doesn't match the prescription file," he said. "Whatever she's being given, it's not what's written." I thanked him, stepped outside. That's when I saw the SUV. Black, tinted windows, parked across the street. A man leaned against it, sharp suit, eyes that smiled without meaning it. "You're the girl," he said. I froze. "I hear you've been asking questions." I didn't answer. He stepped closer. "Ask one more, and you won't get to ask again." Then he got in and drove off. For the first time in weeks, I felt cold. I didn't tell Annika about the man by the SUV, not right away. Maybe I should have, but fear makes you greedy. It wraps around your neck and whispers, "Stay small, stay silent." I kept sweeping floors, changing bins, pretending I didn't notice the locked cabinets or the fake prescriptions. But I watched. And the more I watched, the more I realized Tari wasn't the only one. There was a boy in room 12, Emeka, broken arm, they said. But he kept throwing up, sweating through sheets. Nobody treated him. They just monitored and billed. Same thing in room 15, woman with stomach pain. Same sedatives, same no answers. This wasn't just about Tari. One night, as I wiped the hallway, Femi pulled me aside. "You making noise again?" I blinked. "What?" "You asking around? People talk." I swallowed. "You don't want to know what I found." "I don't," he said. "But I know the difference between cleaning and digging." Then softer. "Watch yourself, girl." I nodded, but something shifted in him. He didn't walk away right away, like he wanted to say more, then didn't. Later that shift, Aneka caught me near Tari's file cabinet. "You're not careful," he said. "You said she's being kept sick, so prove it." He sighed. "I need the original treatment log, but it's off network, paper file, locked in the admin office." "You want me to steal it?" He hesitated. "I want you to get it, however you can." Funny thing is, I didn't hesitate. That scared me. That night, I waited until 3 a.m., when the night nurse usually napped behind the desk. I slipped into the admin wing. It smelled like disinfectant and money. The door was locked, of course, but these old doors, you jiggle the handle just right with a coin they give, eventually. Inside, rows of cabinets. I scanned labels, found the one, T.A. Oho, Tari's full name. The folder was thick, too thick. Inside, duplicate test results. One page said her white cell count was stable. The next said critical. Same date, same time. I took photos, slipped everything back, closed the door. And when I turned around, Femi was there. No words, just him, blocking the hallway. "I'm not stealing," I whispered. "I know," he said. He stepped aside. That moment, it hit deep. Not because he helped, but because he didn't have to say why. Next morning, Aneke looked at the photos. His face tightened. They've been falsifying everything. She's not sick anymore, but they're billing the foundation like she's dying. "Why?" I asked. He looked tired. "Because her father's donations come in bigger when she's fighting. The sicker she looks, the more they collect. Her uncle's running the whole thing." "And the mother?" "Doesn't ask questions." I sat back. "So what now?" Before he could answer, we heard the crash. A tray of medical tools hit the floor. Screams from down the hall. Tari was convulsing. Nurses scrambled. Alarms beeped. Her mother wailed. And standing by the door, stone still, was the same man from the SUV. He looked at me, just me, like he knew I'd pulled the thread that was unraveling his game. That stare, it didn't threaten. It promised. They moved Tari to the ICU. No explanations, no press release. Just more machines, more wires, more people pretending they knew what they were doing. But I knew better now. Dr. Aneke paced like a trapped animal. His hands never stopped moving, tapping, folding, twitching. "They'll bury this," he muttered, "like they always do." I stared at the floor. "Then we do it loud." He looked up. "You mean go public?" "No, public won't help her, but her mother might." He shook his head. "Aomide, she's part of this." I wasn't so sure. That afternoon, while cleaning her private lounge, I found a clue. A worn notebook tucked behind the couch. Not Tari's, her mother's. Inside, sketches, notes, recipes, and one line that made my blood freeze. If I asked too many questions, they'd take her away from me. That night, I left the clinic early and went back to Sister Ngozi's. I hadn't been back in days. Ngozi didn't ask why I was limping. She just gave me tea. "I need your help," I said. She nodded before I explained. We sat outside, under the tin awning, listening to the city breathe through car horns and distant shouting. I told her everything. When I was done, she sighed. "You trying to take on men with suits, girl." "I know." "And you think you can win?" I didn't answer. She smiled. "Good. Means you're not stupid enough to believe it, but not broken enough to quit." She reached into her bag, pulled out a battered phone. "I have a contact. Used to be a social worker, burned too many bridges, but she hates people who hurt kids." Next morning, we met in a church parking lot. The woman, Tola, looked like someone who knew how to break rules. Braids tied back, phone in one hand, anger in the other. She listened, then asked only one thing. "You got proof?" I handed her the photos, the notes, Aneke's recordings. She scrolled, her face changed. "You leave this with me. I'll push where it hurts." But we didn't have time. That same night, I came back to the clinic, and something was off. Security was doubled, and Nika wasn't answering his phone. Femi pulled me into the shadows. "They're watching you now," he said, whole admin wings buzzing. "For what?" He hesitated. "There's talk that you're the reason she crashed again, that you touched her, did something." My stomach dropped. "They're saying you put her into a coma." He handed me a bag. "Clothes, water. You need to leave, Io." I couldn't move. "Now," he said. So I ran. Out the back, down the alley, through a hole in the clinic fence. And just like that, I was a ghost again. No bed, no name, no safety. Funny thing is, the first place I went wasn't Ngozi's. It was Tari's school. I needed to see who she was before they turned her into a story. There, in a hallway lined with finger paintings, I found a photo. Tari, smiling, standing next to her mother. And next to them, the man from the SUV. His hand on Tari's shoulder, smiling like he owned her. That image burned into me like fire. Whatever happened next, I was done hiding. It rained the next morning. Not the polite kind, the kind that scrubs Lagos raw. Gutters overflowing, traffic frozen, people shouting into the wind like it owes them something. I walked through it with soaked sneakers and a dry mind. Ngozi's shelter was empty when I got there, chairs stacked, mats rolled, A note on the door, closed for fumigation. But I knew better. Someone had warned her, and now I had nowhere left to hide. So I did the only thing I could think of. I went to see Tola. She met me in a narrow cafe behind a hair salon in Ikeja. Her braids were looser this time, her eyes sharper. "They're gunning for you," she said without saying hello. "The uncle's got people inside the hospital, inside the ministry, maybe even police." I figured. She tapped her phone. "But he's not clean. I've started leaking documents, payroll fraud, fake invoices. It's building." "Will it help Tari?" Tola's voice dropped. "Not fast enough." We sat in silence for a moment. Then I said, "There's something else." I showed her the photo from the school wall, Tari, her mother, and him, the SUV man. Tola leaned in. "That man's name is Sola Ajayi, not the uncle, the fixer. He's the one who makes the mess disappear." "Disappear how?" She looked me dead in the eyes. "By any means." I swallowed. "Then we need to make it too big to clean up." We made a plan. Annika had gone silent, but I knew where he kept backups, a dusty flash drive stashed inside a cleaning bucket. I'd seen him hide it more than once. I snuck back into the clinic that night. Femi was gone, replaced by 2 new guards, harsher eyes, longer sticks. I climbed the rear wall and dropped into the courtyard. My knees cracked, but I didn't stop. Found the storage closet, found the bucket, flash drive still inside. I ran. Met Tola outside a fuel station. She scanned the files. Blood reports, pharmacy orders, security logs, all showing Tari was stable until certain drugs were administered, all traced back to orders signed by her uncle's assistant. "This is it," she whispered, "enough to burn them down." "But how do we get it to her mother?" I asked. "She won't listen to me." Tola grinned. "She doesn't have to. We'll make her listen in front of everyone." The opportunity came 2 days later. The hospital's charity gala, held in the grand hall near Lekki Phase 1. Rich people, bright lights, and fake promises. Tola pulled strings to get us in. She went as a guest journalist. I went as the help. Apron, head wrap, tray of puff puffs. I moved through the room, invisible like always. Until I wasn't. Because Tari's mother stood on the stage, talking about love, healing, and hope. How her daughter was still fighting. And I couldn't take it. I stepped forward, pulled the flash drive from my apron, held it high, and said loud enough for the whole room to hear, "She's not fighting. She's being poisoned by her own family." The room went silent, until someone shouted, "Get her out!" And from the back, Sola Ajayi started walking toward me. Slow, like a man with nothing to lose. But this time, neither did I. The guards grabbed me hard. One twisted my arm behind my back. Another yanked the flash drive from my hand. People shouted. Some gasped. Others just stared, clutching wine glasses like this was part of the entertainment. Tola screamed, "That's illegal! She's a whistleblower!" No one listened. Sola Ajayi reached the stage, calm as ever. He leaned close, his breath like menthol and menace. "You just made a very permanent mistake." They dragged me out through the service doors, into the rain. No police, no questions, just fists. I took the first hit across my ribs, the second to my jaw. Then everything went black. When I woke up, I wasn't dead. But I wished I was. Concrete under my back, my arm swollen, my mouth tasted like rust and fear. I was in a container yard, somewhere near a papa port, judging by the oil stink. Zip ties on my wrists, blood in my ear. They didn't want me dead, not yet. They wanted me erased. I heard footsteps. A phone rang. A man answered. "She's awake." Pause. "No, not yet. We'll wait for the fixer." My chest tightened. I lay still, thinking. They hadn't taken my shoes. They hadn't checked my pockets. Tola had slipped me a second flash drive. A dummy, sure, but with just enough bait to scare them into reacting. The real one, hidden inside the seam of my waistband. I needed one chance. One distraction. I got it when a truck's horn blared right outside the gate. The guards flinched, looked away. I rolled, slammed my heel into the closest man's knee. He screamed. I ran. Adrenaline drowned the pain. I scaled a shipping pallet, dropped over the side fence, Hit the ground bad. My ankle popped. Didn't stop. I limped through alleys, ducked behind dumpsters, flagged a Danfo with my last breath. Driver cursed me out until he saw my face. Blood, fear, desperation. He drove. Didn't ask. I made it to Tola's hideout just before dawn. She opened the door, gasped, and pulled me inside. We patched my arm with boiled cloth and vodka. It burned like truth. "You went too far," she said. "Not far enough." I handed her the real flash. "This one?" I said, voice raw. "It ends them." She nodded. "Then we go bigger." And I shook my head. "Not we, me. I started this. I finish it." And she let me. That afternoon, with a split lip and one good eye, I walked into the hospital. Through the front door. Through the guards. Into the ward where Tari lay, alone, beeping machines the only witnesses. And I stood beside her, shaking, crying, furious. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I shouldn't have left you." Then I took out my phone, hit record, and told the whole damn story. From the street to the gala, from Femi to the fixer, every lie, every scar. I ended with one truth. They said I was a witch, but all I did was care. Then I uploaded it to Afrilogy and waited. The video spread like dry season fire. First a few views, then hundreds, then tens of thousands. People recognized the hospital, the names, the girl. By sunset, my name was trending in places I never dreamed of. Not as a witch, not as a thief, but as a witness. I stayed with Tola, couldn't walk much, arms still wrapped, jaw purple, but my phone kept buzzing. Some messages were kind, others weren't. Some wanted interviews, some wanted to buy my story. But I didn't respond to any of them, because I didn't care about stories. I cared about Tari. And then something happened I didn't expect. Tari's mother showed up. Not with guards, not with makeup, just her. No driver, no heels, just flat sandals and swollen eyes. She walked into the room like someone learning how to breathe again. "I saw your video," she said. I nodded, my throat closed. I knew something was wrong. I just couldn't prove it. Every time I asked, they said I was hysterical, that I was making things worse. She sat down. "My husband used to beat me," she said, "before he died. Then his brother took over, said he'd protect us. But he made it worse, quietly, legally." I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. She pulled out a folder full of bank statements, letters, doctor notes, real ones. "I've been collecting these for years, but no one would listen, not until you spoke." She held my hand. "I'm going to press charges. I'm taking back my daughter." I finally breathed. She stood. "And you, if you ever need a place, my door's open, truly." After she left, I cried, quietly, the kind of cry that doesn't make sound, just releases weight. Next morning, Tola told me the uncle had fled, disappeared the night the video dropped. Police couldn't find him. But then something better happened. A private security guard from the gala, one I'd never seen, turned himself in. Said he'd seen everything, had footage, gave names. Femi testified too. Gave them logs, timestamps, even printed out emails from the admin team. Turns out, he'd been keeping receipts all along. Aneka came back, not to work, to testify. They called it a scandal. I called it justice starting to stretch. By the end of the week, Tari was moved to another facility, one where her mother could sit beside her without asking permission. One night, I visited. She was awake. Thin, pale, but awake. "Hi," she said. "Hey." "You're the girl from the video." I smiled. "You're the girl from the market." We both laughed, softly. Then she reached out, and this time she held my hand first. And for the first time in months, I felt warm. People kept asking me what I wanted now. A job, a scholarship, a book deal. I told them I wanted a mattress that didn't smell like mold, a morning where I didn't have to look over my shoulder, a name that meant something other than troublemaker. Tola laughed. "That's too humble. Ask for more." But I wasn't ready for more. I stayed quiet, watched the city shift around me. The clinic changed hands. The uncle's assets were frozen. Some staff were fired. Others quit before the storm hit. Annika was offered his job back. He said no. Instead, he opened a small community health center in Mushin. No suits, no silence, just treatment. He asked if I wanted to help. I said yes. So that's how I became a girl with keys. Not to a mansion, not to power, but to a building with 2 rooms and a leaky sink, where sick people came and left better. Where no one asked who you were before. One day, while sweeping the front step, I saw someone I didn't expect. E.B. Same beat-up cap, same nervous grin. "You look rich," he said. "You look broke," I replied. We laughed. He said he'd been staying clean, doing deliveries, trying not to get arrested. He asked if I needed help. I said yes. So now, on Tuesdays and Fridays, he sweeps. Badly, but he tries. Sometimes we sit after closing, eat bread and sardines, talk about the past like it belonged to someone else. Funny thing is, I used to think survival was enough. But then one evening, a woman came in with her daughter, small, thin, coughing blood. The mother looked scared, the kind of scared that can't afford hospitals. She didn't need to say anything. I sat with the girl, held her hand, and as her breathing slowed just a little, I saw something familiar in her eyes. Not magic. Recognition. She smiled, and suddenly I knew what I wanted. Not revenge. Not fame. Just this. To be the hand someone holds when the world forgets them. That's enough for me. For now. I didn't expect to ever see her again. But life doesn't ask you. It just brings people back when it's ready. One morning, I unlocked the clinic gate, and there she was. Tari, taller now, hair in braids, holding a paper bag and 2 bottles of malt. "Peace offering," she said. I grinned. I didn't know we were fighting. She rolled her eyes. I was unconscious. That counts. We sat on the clinic steps, split the malt. Bread was warm, still wrapped in newspaper. "I'm starting school again," she said. "That's good." "And my mom, she's different now. Not perfect, but real." "That's better than perfect." She looked at me. "They say you saved my life." I shrugged. "You woke up. You saved your own." We sat in silence. Then she asked, "Do you ever wish it hadn't happened?" I thought about the bruises, the cold floors, the fear, the fists, the humiliation, the silence. Then I thought about Femi, about Ngozi, about Annika, about Ibi, about sitting in a place that used to reject me, now holding keys. "No," I said. She nodded. "Me neither." She stood, dusted off her skirt. "Well, if you ever want to visit my school, I'm in drama club now. I'm playing a girl accused of being a witch." I laughed, hard. "Tell your director I've got some notes." She waved, walked away. I sat there long after she was gone. Listened to the city wake up. Vendors shouting, horns honking, someone chasing a goat down the road. Same city that once called me cursed, now just letting me be. And maybe that's what healing looks like. Not a medal, not applause, just quiet and breath and peace. Finally,